My sister was taken out of orphanage by my grandma, but they would not give her me as well because I was a toddler, and because of the age, they gave her only one older child, my sister. And by the time my grandma found somebody to sign the papers for custody, I was already adopted out and nobody would tell them where I went.
Who am I?
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 This is Who Am I, Really? A podcast about adoptees that have located and connected with their biological family members. I'm Damon Davis, and you're about to meet George. He grew up in Soviet Georgia, knowing he was different, both visibly and emotionally, in a society where adoption and his sexuality were dangerous secrets. When George finally got a lucky break to uncover his truth, it set him out on a texting journey to connect across continents. Today, he is rewriting the assumptions he had drafted about his life, reclaiming parts of his identity that had been hidden from him for decades. This is George's journey. Growing up in Soviet Georgia, in a family and a society that treated adoption like a secret to be protected, George carried questions that he wasn't even allowed to ask. George grew up in a small resort town with natural mineral water that attracted tourists from all over the country, like the San Pellegrino of the Soviet Union. He had to survive a childhood where silence wasn't just expected, it was enforced. I invited him to take me back to the beginning, to the little town where his story began, even if he didn't know the full truth.
I was an only child. I got along fine with my mother. With my father, I don't remember a lot because he died when I was 9. And even before that, recently I was just trying to jot down some memories, but I don't have many memories of him. I don't know whether I didn't want to, or I have unpleasant memories. He used to drink, and that was a lot of fight, and that was like unpleasant situations. And yeah, he passed away with a heart attack when I was 9. So I grew up with a single mother, and me and my mother just got along fine. But
Yeah.
I always knew internally that I was not part of the family. I was like,
Yeah.
I might as well been an alien.
Really? What do you mean? Why did you feel that way?
Well, first of all, my look, because Georgians look very much Mediterranean, like Greeks and Italians, all like a Mediterranean-looking people, and I was this like blonde, like a Swedish-looking kid amongst them. So my appearance always begged for an answer, So, oh, who is this kid? Why he does not look like anybody else? And my mother had this ready answers. Oh, his father looked like him exactly in his age. And she went as far as she used to lie that my paternal grandma was German descendant. So that was why I looked so like different, European or Scandinavian or whatever. So, and eventually I went along with that, but internally I knew that was not true. This is like in a younger age. But then when the differences were more and more noticeable between me and my cousin, then I start thinking about, so what is it? Why? And a couple of times I remember in a very young age, I actually joked that, oh, well, because I'm adopted. And my mother's reaction kind of confirmed my suspicions, but I had no idea what it meant to be adopted. Nobody spoke about it. It was a big taboo subject in my family, in my town, in the country, in society. I think you could have get arrested if you told an adopted person that he or she was adopted. It was that bad.
Really? I have never heard
Yes.
that before. You could
Yes,
be
because
incarcerated for revealing a person was adopted to them.
Yes, because I remember a couple of times that I grew up in a single, my mother was with a single mother who had no husband. So a lot of women would come and hang out at our place. So every now and then I would be hearing conversations that they would be talking very harsh that somebody was adopted or somebody was trying to adopt a child and nobody should know and nobody would know. And like it was a really big hush all around.
Wow, that is wild. I've never
Yeah.
heard anyone
Yeah.
say that revealing an adoption was an illegal act. That's crazy, huh? But did you know that
Well,
growing
so
up,
then you
or did you just feel it?
Well, I feel it, you have this feel that you're not part of the family. And I know visually, and I know my mentality and sensibility wise. And then when I was, I think, 7 or 8, I lied that I was picked at school and teased that I was adopted. I just wanted to see what my mother's reaction would be. And my mother, who ran a bank in town, in the small town, she had a really good position. And my father's sister, who was a judge, they actually threatened the school.
Wow, really?
So, which totally confirmed my suspicions. I knew that there was something I did not know what it meant to be adopted, but there was something that they were hiding from me, and they were trying to protect me from the somebody to tell me and stuff. So that kind of snowballed into my thinking that, oh, okay, well, that explains that. Yeah,
So at
in a
7 or 8 years old, you've decided I'm going to test my parents, and you lied about
Mhm. Yeah,
school and told them that you had been teased for being an adoptee at school to see how they would react, and they
yeah,
flipped out, which basically confirmed
yeah,
you're adopted. That is really clever for
yeah,
a kid. Really
yeah,
smart. Huh.
yeah.
So how did that change things for you then, as you got this confirmation about your not necessarily being a biological part of the family? What did that do for you as you grew up in your family?
Well, that was like, obviously, I stopped thinking about what it meant and I started acting out. But then, around that time, I started noticing that I liked boys more than girls. So then that took front seat in my life. So I actually thought until I turned 16 that I had a cancer that nobody spoke about it. So I could not
What do you
read
mean
it.
that
I could not
that
breastfeed.
your feelings of being a gay man was like a cancer?
Yeah, because I had no idea what it was, because I did not know anybody saying that, oh, any boy saying that, oh, I like boys, or I could not ask anybody. I could not read about it. I could not talk to anybody. So I thought that this is something that you're not talking about. This is just a disease or something that you just have to keep in for yourself. So that kind of took all my focus, and then whole adoption story went on the back seat. And then when I turned 16, my uncle told me that I was adopted. Me and my mother had one of the arguments, and he was drunk and he told me that,
How did that hit when he actually said it out loud?
oh, it was painful. It was right. I was on my way to a prom. I was 16. So with all the what was already going on and teenage years and all that, it was tough.
I can imagine. That must have been wild. If I could take you back for a
Yeah.
moment, if it was illegal to tell a person that they're adopted, what was the
Mm.
environment like to be a gay man in Georgia, a Russian it doesn't seem like it would be a favorable scenario.
Oh, no. I left Georgia when I was 24. And before that, I remember I got arrested several times for just doing nothing because the police suspected that I might be gay or something. And I remember the police telling me that Hitler was right killing people like me.
Wow.
So that was the situation from the police.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And you got arrested more than once for suspicion of being gay, is what I heard.
Suspicion because of the neighbors suspect something. It's like it was that kind of situation. More you hide, more you reveal kind of situation. You're always trying to be so discreet and so careful, but in the meantime, you actually reveal things. So neighbors called a couple of times just because I had party at my place. They were men. They were women, there were boys, girls, everybody. But for some reason, they thought that something inappropriate was going on there. So they arrested all of us. So,
Mm.
but yeah, so for me, things like late teenage years until I left Georgia, my main focus was to do something to leave Georgia because I was on fight or flight mode pretty much the entire time
Really?
on survival. So yeah,
Mm.
you don't have a lot of time for anything else when you're in that kind of mode, you know. So all my adoption thing went buried a little bit.
Imagine living with a target on your back, not for what you did, but for who you were. George wasn't just fighting for belonging anymore. He was fighting for his life. Fear became a constant companion, shaping every choice he made. It was no wonder that the search for freedom, for somewhere he could simply be himself, became his highest priority. George had graduated from a prestigious university, and he was working in Georgian state television. But the threatening calls to the station drove him to quit and leave the country in 1999 to become a journalist for the Olympics in Australia. By the early 2000s, direct-to-consumer DNA testing had become more prevalent in Australia, empowering George to explore his genetic ancestry and try to satisfy his curiosities about himself.
I did very early on, like 20 years ago, and it was confirmed that I had zero Georgian DNA in me.
For years, George had been gaslit into believing he belonged, and then, with a few drops of saliva, the truth was revealed. And with that revelation, his genetic connections shifted forever.
Through DNA, I could not find anybody closer than fifth or sixth cousin, especially that time people did not test as like today, every second person does it, right? So I did not do anything because I just moved to Australia and I was so busy with starting my life there. And I stayed there. I applied for gay refugee status because of
Mm.
the country that I come from did not approve my sexuality. So that was like what took the first few years of my life in Australia to I started film studies there, obviously the language, and start building new life and immigration, all that. So I got really lucky. I was given the refugee status right away and started new life. So because I was so removed from my family that adoption thing was not still in the picture. I was in a totally fog that time. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. You had a lot going on between moving away from your home country, transferring
Yeah.
overseas, seeking refugee status. Like that's a lot to go through. And you're a young guy.
Yes, I was 25. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a lot to deal with.
George had realized that his name had probably been changed. His birthday was probably inaccurate, so he had no anchoring information to launch a search from. He was unwelcome in his country, so George couldn't just go ask the government about himself. And even if he could, adoption records there are sealed until the adoptee is 75 years old. By that time, most likely the birth parents are deceased, and the clues of the adopted person's past would have faded into historical obscurity. George had no plan of attack for his reunion search.
And I think seriously, I started thinking about when my mother passed away in 2016. I think it was also the loyalty to my mom. I now looking back, I think that's what it was, loyalty to my mom. Even I've known since I was 16, I never confronted my mom. We never ever discussed that I knew that I was adopted and she knew that I knew, but we've never spoken about it. So I
You're
think when my mother passed away, I say, okay, well, there is nothing to hide anymore and I want to do this.
Yeah, the death of an adoptive parent when that loyalty is holding you back is very liberating. I'm not saying that people are wishing their adoptive parents dead. I'm simply saying that by the ending of their life allows a new freedom to pursue your
Yeah.
interests when your loyalties have lied with them, right? That you can't hurt them anymore. And so it really does open new doors guilt free. So what did you do?
So I contacted US consulate in Russia and I asked them, hey, this is the situation. Do you have anybody, trusted person, lawyer or investigator or somebody who deals with situations like this? And they gave me a couple of names, right? Americans who live in Russia and who help people like me. But because I did not have anything except the birth certificate that was issued in Georgia and had probably, I knew at that time that would have none of the information that would help the search because they issued new certificate after my adoption. Everything was changed there. So I lived in Australia and 2009, I applied for green card because my husband is American and I've been citizen of the US since 2009. Yeah.
After years of running into dead ends, George's early attempts to find his birth information led nowhere. He contacted the U.S. consulate for help, reached out to investigators, and even petitioned the Georgian government, all without success. Every pathway seemed to collapse under the weight of missing documents, sealed records, and people who took advantage of his search without delivering answers. By the time George and I met in Los Angeles, I could feel the heaviness he carried, of wanting so badly to know, but having no way to unlock his past. Still, something told me George wasn't ready to give up.
So just up to 2 weeks ago, I knew nothing about my adoption. The only thing I knew last year, my cousins mentioned as if like just matter of fact that, oh, you know that your birthday has been changed. I was like, what? So I don't even have my real birthday. How I'm gonna search for anything, right? So I don't even know that one. I thought that was the only thing I was looking or searching to buy. And 2 weeks ago, I approached a friend of mine who is doing a documentary about the kids who were sold in Georgia was civil war. And when women would have babies, they would tell them, oh, your baby died. And actually, they would sell babies straight from the hospital overseas.
Oh
And
my
now
God.
these babies are grown up people and looking for their families. And then parents saw the baby is dead already 30 years. And no, baby lives in America or somewhere. It's crazy. And my friend is doing a documentary about this subject. And I said, hey, I know that you have a lot of search angels. Do you think there is anybody in Russia that can help me with my situation? So I went to this site. It's a Facebook site called Wait for Me. It's in Russian and just put a post. This is who I am. This is my situation. I don't have a lot of papers. I don't think I have anything, but this is what I know that I was adopted from an orphanage in Russia, 1976. Within 45 minutes, this lady replied, three ladies. And for some reason, that was the one lady who never asked anything about money and asked me very interesting questions. So I thought, oh, I feel something towards, she's probably real deal. So
Mhm.
we start talking about it, and I told her all my history and stuff. She says, "Yeah, it's tough your situation because you have nothing to hold on to." But she asked me, "Who came? Do you know who came to Russia to adopt you?" I said, "My adopted mother." And she says, "Do you have her marriage certificate or birth certificate?" I said, "I do have her birth certificate." I took a picture and I sent her
Mhm.
right away. She says, if she came here to adopt you, she must have signed documents and her name must be somewhere. And let me see what I can do. This is as close as I've been in 50 years. I've been doing
Yeah.
this research
The most
and
hope
like
you've
I
ever
cannot
had.
be. Yeah, I cannot believe. I thought, okay, well, this is total BS and blah, blah, blah. But still, but this is as close as I've been.
Mhm.
And she's texting me that I'm sending all your documents to, I don't know what's the place called in how you translate in English, but it's the place where they have all the information about who is born, I don't know
Mhm.
what's the organization called.
I know what you're talking about. It has different names.
Ar- Archives or whatever it
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
she says, I have a person who is looking for something. This is all under the table because you can't do any of this. And I cannot mention any names and anything, obviously. So this is like my midnight and I cannot go to bed. I went for running. I need somehow to actually calm down, right? Anyway, I woke up 7 a.m. with after 7 hours. The first thing she's texting me, you were born in this small town where I was born. So imagine
Really?
this. I chose this search angel who was born in the same town that I was born in Russia, such a big country, right?
That's
This is like,
great.
I
Wow.
cannot believe this. And she says, I cannot believe when I saw your documents, you were born in this little town. It's like between Moscow and St. Petersburg, this tiny little town. And then the first thing she's texting me, my real birthday and my real name.
Wow. What did you
I
think when
could
you saw
not.
that?
No, I don't remember exactly because I think those 2 days, I actually thought that I might be going insane because my emotions swung between hysterical laughter to hysterical cry. So I could not believe it to see my real name. And then this is all via WhatsApp text messages. Search Angel is in overseas and she's texting me all this. And it's like a movie, every text message is escalation, more and more information, then she's texting me my real birthday, date of birth, and my birthday. True enough, it's changed until today. Until 2 weeks ago, I thought my birthday was April 16, 1974. My real birthday, is 16th of January, 1974.
It was off by months. Interesting. Do you think that is the time after your birth, but before your adoption, and the birth certificate has the adoption date?
No, I think my adopted family changed just to delete all the traces or something that I might be found.
Really? You think it was intentional that they wanted to de-identify?
I knew my birthday was changed intentionally by my mother, adopted mother,
Oh,
and then I'm finding out my parents' names, and I'm youngest of three.
oh my
Yes.
God. They're crazy. Before you go on with your siblings,
Yes,
can you
and
tell me quickly, you just learned, was it 2 weeks ago, that your
yeah,
actual birth date is January. Do you think you'll
yeah.
celebrate your newly found, rediscovered birthday in January versus what you've traditionally done in April?
You see, this is all so new that I don't know, but I love my April birthday. I will always celebrate because I'm that kind of person. I like it. And also, I like my star sign Aries.
That's
Um,
really it.
but
Yeah, your mind changes. Holy mackerel. That's wild.
yeah, I was the Aries and now apparently I'm Capricorn.
Capricorn. Yeah, that's wild.
So, and I was talking to my friends. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna have my first birthday January 16th as like my kind of a rebirth birthday, but
Yeah.
then we will see what happens.
That's really interesting. Wow. So glad you found out that you are one of three.
Yes, I'm the youngest of three, and now I'm thinking, oh God, so they gave me up. So they gave me up because not because that she was like a 16-year-old woman who could not keep the baby. I'm a youngest of three, so it was a conscious decision to give me up. So and then I start thinking, oh, I wonder what happened. They didn't want me, and blah blah blah. You're going all the worst scenarios possible, right? So and then Search Angel also tells me, George, you have a sister who is 2 years older than you, and
Mhm.
she lives in St. Petersburg. And your parents, we have here your parents' date of birth, both of them, but there is no date of death, which means that they're still alive. But you had that brother who was 60 years older than you, but he passed away in 2008.
After decades of dead ends and dashed hopes, all of this news about George's original identity and the existence of his family was nothing short of miraculous. In a series of texts, George wasn't just reconnecting with a family he never knew. He was reclaiming a part of himself that had been lost to history. But what he didn't realize yet was how much they had been searching for him too.
So this is all happening within like 10 hours in a day. Like
And this is
every
just 2
text
weeks ago.
message has, yes, 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God.
After 48 years of search, my head is still spinning. I don't know. I think I'm still in a kind of shock state, but at some point, I guess I will, come out from this craziness. So then next message comes from her is like, look, this is your sister. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to say hello? Do you want to get in touch with her? It's like, this is like every half hour. I have not time to digest whatever I just learned. And then eventually, long story short, she put me in touch with my sister. And, we spoke. And I was afraid that she might not know about me. If I was the youngest, she might does not even want to tell her mother. Like, you think the worst things possible, right? Apparently, she knew about me and she's been looking for me for 50 years.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as the youngest, she might have remembered when her mother was pregnant.
Yes. Yeah. So
Wow.
what
So she was
happened
really
was
ecstatic, huh?
what happened was that my mother and father had problems with Soviet government. So they had to do a lot of things to be hidden that time.
Really?
She was a ballet dancer, my mother, currently. And I'm not sure what father did at the time, but they had problems with the Soviet government. So they had my brother and sister and me, and they could have with them my brother because he was 6 years older than me, but they put me and my sister in orphanage until situation would resolve with the government and they would come back and pick us up. But the situation got worse and they had to leave the country entirely or something. And my sister was taken out of orphanage by my grandma, but they would not give her me as well because I was a toddler. And because of the age, they gave her only one older child, my sister. And by the time my grandma found somebody to sign the papers for custody or something like that, I was already adopted out and nobody would tell them where I went.
Jeez, this
So
is
they
I
lost
mean,
trace of me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, how did it feel to hear the story of you
Yeah.
being put aside for safety, but
Oh,
then just completely lost?
yeah. God, I don't know. I'm telling you, I'm still in shock. I'm just like,
Yeah.
um, every time I tell people, it's like, I can tell people are listening to it's like you're telling them movie. George, this is just not real. Like it does not feel real. I don't feel like I'm talking about myself. It just feels like a totally bizarre, surreal story. And at the same time, I'm talking to my sister pretty much every day now.
Really? Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, because she goes to bed when I wake up. So like half hour before we like, this is my sunrise, this is my sunset. So we just say every day, but we're texting back and forth each other.
That's incredible. How cool. Did she
Yeah,
tell you,
but
is George your original name? Did she recall your original name at
no,
all? This is
Sergey.
ah, interesting.
Yeah,
How did you identify with that
yeah.
name when you heard it?
I don't know. My friends are teasing me now with that name, but I don't like. It was like I don't know. I don't have any. I don't know. It's like so much news. I have a real name. I have a real birthday. I have some totally different identity. Like now, I'm really asking myself, who am I really?
If actually there is a reason I
Yeah.
chose that name. It is very valid as a question for so many people. And you're living that
Yeah.
experience right now, right? You're in this limbo of having identified as one person for 50 years almost. And now you're at this point of hearing quite literally a totally different origin story than you've ever known, right?
Mm.
You probably had some things that you fabricated in your mind as what the possibilities were.
Yeah.
Now you've heard the facts, and they probably don't align. And the facts are wild.
But also, Damien, as you probably know, as an adoptee person, when you're searching, the first question you have is, who am I? But second question is, who is she? We only think about mother, right? You never think about, oh, do I have sisters? Do I have brothers? You don't even think about the father as if the father is not even involved in our creation, right? So you're only thinking about mother. Who is she? Where is she? Why? Why did she give me up? What happened? What was the real story? But for me, like discovering same day brother and sister and parents, and it's just like it's crazy. So obviously situation is like for me is different than for her. She knew about me and looking for me, but I had no idea about her existence. She just fell off the sky for me.
George and his sister are slowly building a bond after decades apart, an emotional reunion tempered by the delicate work of getting to know each other across a lifetime of missing history. Although they don't see an immediate resemblance to each other, George felt a flicker of connection through old photographs. But when it comes to understanding their shared past, the details remain blurry. Neither of them was truly raised by their parents, forced instead into separate lives because of their parents' troubles with the Soviet government during a time when independent thinking could cost you everything. Now George faces a new kind of waiting, a delicate dance of questions, careful conversations, and the logistical challenge of confirming their biological ties in a country where even DNA testing comes with closed doors.
You don't want to be in Russian DNA platform because government owns all your DNA and everything, and you don't want to be in a Russian government sites. Trust me, as an
Yeah.
American person, especially.
So what will you
Um,
do? Will she
it's
do a DNA test, say, through a non-Russian government, through another
okay.
country?
This is like a whole DNA 23andMe testing. Is you can write a book only on this. So I got kit for her, and I gave to my friend who flew to Georgia, my girlfriend, and she took to Georgia. From Georgia, we found the person who was going to Russia physically to St. Petersburg, who delivered to my sister and gave into hand because you cannot even mail anything. You cannot mail from here to
Or
Russia
confiscated?
because yeah, it would be confiscated, especially there is like a DNA testing thing. No, no way. So she did the testing. She took a sample and now it's traveling back again. Person took somebody bringing to Georgia, and the same girlfriend's gonna bring it back to US and we're sending to the lab. So
Oh
it's
my
crazy.
gosh. This is
It's
unbelievable. You're on some spy stuff.
hands back.
From 007 transferring DNA
No, I
out
mean
of the country.
seriously.
That's
You
real.
seriously like it. I don't trust anybody. I just want to hand by hand and hand. Like
Yeah.
it's been in 7 people's hands from it's on the way to LA now. Yeah.
That's
Right now, as we
You're
speak, it's
Mr. Van. Yeah. That's crazy. And I'm
yeah.
just thinking to myself, imagine if you find out that you're not biologically paternally related. You've got a whole new journey to start on then, if that is the case. That
I
is
know.
crazy.
And then I'm thinking, okay, where's this story going? Because look, I'm a storyteller, but I cannot make up this stuff up.
Unreal.
So this is my reality as we speak. Yeah.
That's really unreal. Let me ask you this. One of the great desires that we have is to try to actually meet people, but your sister lives in Russia. And I don't know
Yeah.
what the travel restrictions or opportunities are, but I don't know if you can go in. I don't know if she can come out. Do you have any prospects for meeting her face to face?
Yes, I do. And I already spoke to US consulate in Russia, and they think that it's not a good idea for me to go to Russia. So now I'm
Yeah.
organizing for her to meet me somewhere where for her as Russian, she needs a visa in a lot of countries, and especially what's going on with Russia now. It's really hard for Russians to go overseas and get visas and things. As you
Yeah.
know, diplomatic relationships are really bad with Russia, pretty much with the whole world. So I'm just trying to organize as soon as this DNA test, because I want to know 100% what's going on, before I meet her face to face. I want to have all the DNA inserts and everything, and then I will organize her to go somewhere, I don't know, nearby in Russia where she can actually travel and meet her there.
That is
But
unbelievable. I can't wait to hear how
I
this
cannot
goes.
go to Russia.
Yeah, especially because governments like Russia, as far as I can tell, hold long grudges. And if your
Oh,
name is identified with your parents from 50 something years ago, they'll be like, he's back. Get him. And you'll never leave.
the funny thing is, I've never thought about that. That's so true, actually. Yes,
Yeah.
probably my name is somewhere or somehow. Yeah, no, that's the reason why I should go there.
Yeah. But I guess to play this out a little bit more, and I'm by no means a global diplomat, so I'm making this up and I would expect it might unfold given what we hear in the news. But I can imagine that at the very least, your saving grace could be that your name was changed. So,
Yes.
Sergey that they are looking for is no longer that person, which could very much
Yeah.
smooth things over for you and your sister to meet, regardless of where she goes, because she can truthfully say, I met with this guy, George.
This is the reason why I did not want my DNA to be in Russian system, because by DNA
Yeah.
I can be still linked to my heritage and to my parents, what is happening. Funny thing is that my search engine also sent me the list of my accusations my parents were accused of that time.
Oh, yeah. And
It's
what
so
was in it?
interesting. I have whole document. I don't want to talk about this yet,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
it's still, I don't know who is listening. It's still, I have to be careful, but
Go on.
yeah, but it's interesting. But the good thing is what makes me happy that they fought for a good cause.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. That does give you some solace, right? Even though you don't get to meet your biological parents, hearing qualities about them that are
Yeah.
perceived as positive are really reassuring, right? Because it gives you
Yeah.
at least the sensation that you are cut from good cloth and that they, potentially were against a bad regime, right?
Yeah, they fought that time for everything I stand today. But that time you could not fight for those things because it was illegal. It was Soviet Union. And if you said anything against the government or anything about anybody, and they were like, she was ballet dancer, she was part of the intelligentsia. So they did not fit the mold that Soviet government want them to be. So obviously they were outspoken and they were put away.
Temperamental artists, opinionated.
So,
Wow, George, this is amazing. I'm happy for you, man. I'm glad you got some answers, right? This is a lifetime of curiosity and turmoil, tumult, and challenge. It's really cool that you've got some things coming your way that are going to give you some answers. And I would imagine even before this goes live, you'll probably get the DNA test back. So you should reach out to me and let me know what
probably,
it
yeah.
said.
I will. And, just quickly, my husband was asking me, so how you feel? Because he knew that I was doing all this research on my friend. You know, even now, I feel like I was carrying this heavy backpack and I just took it off and put on the ground. I feel, I don't know how to describe it in words, but I feel like that was like a last piece of puzzle just fled into the right place. And there is a whole picture now. This is a really weird feeling that I've never experienced in my life. Even I have more questions now than I had before, but still what I know is this feeling is just like, I tell you, I'm walking around with the biggest smile on my face. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like, it's just, I've never experienced anything like this.
Yeah. You hit on a couple of things. One, the idea of the burden lifting. Like I can feel as I speak to you how light you are. I could tell,
Really?
and it's especially pertinent because I met you before in LA, and I could feel how heavy it was for you. You were very concerned and really interested, and to have that juxtaposition of the guy I met before versus whom I'm speaking to now, who now owns information, like the glow, the aura, the energy is just totally different. It's really interesting. And the second piece is, you've already said the who am I really piece, which I always love when people validate the title of the program. But you also struck this piece where you said that it was like a puzzle piece slid into place. And when you look at the logo, you see it's a heart shape with a missing puzzle piece. And you absolutely have nailed that second puzzle.
Oh, that's what it is because it never really registered. Okay, yes, it's
That's exactly what it
how
is.
it feels.
Yeah, the icon is intended to represent the idea that you can have a whole heart your whole life, but that adoption puzzle piece will be the missing piece for many people. That's why I made the icon the way that it is, because for anyone who's seeking answers and is trying to fill that gap, that is a visual representation of that for me.
It's interesting. It never really registered. Obviously, I've seen that logo so many times. I listen every your podcast episode, but it never really registered. But now that you mention, it's like, yes, of course. And that is exactly how it feels.
That's really funny. You may not be the only person who has missed that little nuance of the logo, so I'm gonna have to go out on social media and explain that piece for people. George, this was absolutely amazing, man. Thank you so much for sharing your life story. Promise me you'll reach back when you learn something about your...
I'll keep you posted about everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. Take care, George. All the best to you, man.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, it's me. George's journey reminds us that identity isn't just about where you come from. It's about reclaiming the truths that were hidden from you and relearning the truth of the earliest days of your life. Facing abandonment, persecution, and a labyrinth of lies, George never stopped chasing the process of filling the void in his life. Even when the answers felt out of reach, even when the cost of knowing was almost too high, he kept moving forward with hope. Since my chat with George was so long ago and things were so brand new at that time, I reached out to get an update on the DNA test and meeting his sister. George said, "I got the DNA test results. She is my half-sister. She had no idea we had different fathers. It's been nothing but twists and turns. We haven't met in person yet. Every time I want to plan a meeting, things keep coming up. But I definitely want to meet her this summer, probably in Turkey. I'm Damon Davis, and I hope you found something in George's journey that inspired you, validates your feelings about wanting to search, or motivates you to have the strength along your journey to learn, who am I really?"